I don't know what the developers of the Libby app put into the app, but I swear to God, when that app smells any bit of like fear or stress regarding you and your TBR, it's just gonna start feeding all of your holds at the same time. And that is the issue that I'm running into right now. I am in the middle of so many books. I've been prioritizing like physical books. I think I've just been in a phase where I want to read physical copies over reading ebooks, which I know like I could read physical copies from the library. It's something mentally with me where I feel stressed out renting physical books from the library because I think that I'm gonna like miss the return date and then get in trouble. I don't know. Basically, I specifically use the library for ebooks. I don't see the point in buying ebooks. My favorite thing is just seeing if I can find a book on Libby. Today's video, we are going to specifically only be reading library books. We are going to be starting off with One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This is her newest release. I'm actually right now about like 4% into the book. I'm only on chapter 3, but I haven't been reading it on my Kindle. I've actually been reading it on my phone. Instead of like scrolling on TikTok or doing things like that, I've been using the Kindle app on my phone, and I actually really like it because it kind of feels like you're on Wattpad. I don't know. I really like that. I don't really know what the plot of this book is. Honestly, when it comes to a certain point, like if I've read a few books from a certain author, like I will just read whatever new releases that they come out with, and Carly Fortune is one of those people. I love her writing, and I also love how her books feel like summer. It's right now Friday night, and I feel like this weekend is going to be the first weekend where my apartment pool is open. I think reading this would be perfect to get me into the mood for summer. So we are going to do that. I'm not going to lie though, I'm not going to read right now. I actually need to update my reading journal and write my opinions, because before I jump into a different book, if any of you watched my video where I made my DIY Louise Carmen, I have been using one of the notebooks in this as a place for me to just write my opinions and my thoughts about the books that I'm reading. I really want to try and be better at remembering what I think about books. I am the type of person where I will read a book and like give me a week and I will not know what it is about. Why is this hair? It looked like I had like an alfalfa hair. Anyways, last night I finished Arch Enemies, which is the second book in the Renegade series, and that's actually the book I'm right now stopping that series to pause and get through my library holds, but I so badly want to finish that trilogy. Such a good trilogy, would recommend if you've not read it. But I just need to write down some of my opinions on the book, and then we can get into reading my library books, which I'm very excited about. I'm excited to get back into reading on my Kindle because I have not used this in a while, and I just want to like get cozy in bed and just read. My ears feel really weird and they like keep popping. Am I getting sick? I need to take cold medicine. Sarah was sick last week and she might have got me sick. Like, her writing is just unmatched. On chapter 3, she says, I can afford to take a break. More importantly, maybe I can't afford not to. Just that, the way that it's such a simple quote. I don't know, I'm getting so attached to it, but that's really beautiful. It is right now really early in the morning. I woke up to a text and a call from Sarah being like, are you bailing? We are gonna go get coffee this morning. I don't know why she texted me so early asking about if I was bailing on our plans when it's literally, I didn't even think the coffee shop is open. Anyways, we are gonna go get coffee and then walk the dogs down this like little park trail, and I'm so excited about it. But I do have updates on the book. So I stayed up last night and I read to about 20% of One Golden Summer. I think I'm in the minority of people when I say this, but this book, I don't know if this writing feels different to me. Like, it doesn't feel like a Carly Fortune book in the way that the writing feels very short, simplified. Juvenile is like my favorite word to explain books lately. I don't know why. It's interesting because the main character is supposed to be like 30 years old, and the premise right now of the story is that she's taking care of her grandmother, but she's a very insecure and immature character, and she's like 32 or 34. I don't know. I'm 20% into the book and I kind of want to DNF it. I'm not enjoying it at all. I'm surprised because I went onto Goodreads last night. Usually I do not read Goodreads reviews before I read books. I really do not care what other people think about a book. If I like a book, I like a book. If I don't like a book, I don't like a book. But I went onto Goodreads because I was like, there's no way from what I remember of her books that I'm the only one that feels like this. And I am. I'm in the minority of people who aren't really loving the book. And I don't know like how much of that is just people love to hype up authors that they love their works. And I totally get that. I think I might DNF this book, which is really unfortunate to start this video out on, especially because this is a book that I was so excited for. I had been waiting for. I love Carly Fortune's books. Her book covers are beautiful. The premise of her story always feels like summer in a bottle, and like I love it. And I'm just not loving this one. Because I was reading that book last night, I might read a little bit of it this morning or like when I get back from the coffee shop, just to see if I still feel the same way about the book that I did last night. But I think I might DNF it. I'm like 80% sure I'm just gonna DNF that book, which means the next book that we're gonna read is also a one summer book. I don't know what it is with authors and writing one and then a blank and summer in the title. But the next book that I wanna read is One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle. I don't know why, but I thought that this book was a YA romance where like the girl goes to Italy. I think I might be thinking of Love and Gelato. I saw this TikTok of this girl and her mom, and they were in Italy and they went to this fountain and they brought their copy of this book and dipped it in the water, and it was like a cute little moment between them because from my understanding, the premise of this story is a girl who loses her mom and she goes on this trip that her mom and her had always been talking about, and it is to the Amalfi Coast. I've never been out of country. I've never been to Italy, and I'm very excited to read this one and to try and like explore it. It isn't, from my understanding, a romance. It's more of like a fiction. It does kind of scare me because I am in the mood for like a summer romance. Oh my god, my like awful neighbor is on her way. That is the next book that I will probably be reading in this video. And then hopefully one of the holds that I have will come soon. Oh, maybe it won't. So the book that I've been returning to the next person is Summer in the City by Alex Astor, and that's the one that I was kind of hoping I would get again. Even though I said deliver it after the next person, I'm now third in line and I have a 6-week wait. So that's unfortunate.
Miss Bella, come on, girlie. So if we went to the left, Chelsea, we have to go down to the river, like down to that trail. Oh, fun.
It is many hours later. Ended up starting One Italian Summer while I was at the pool. Unfortunately, I do think it is the writing in One Golden Summer that I'm not liking, and I'm gonna DNF that book. I honestly don't know, like off the top of my head, I can't remember Carly Fortune's writing, and like I know that I liked her writing because it feels like summer and I liked the story. And maybe this book I just need to come back to like maybe later this summer or at a different time. But once I started One Italian Summer, I was like, yeah, it's not me, it's the book. So I'm gonna DNF One Golden Summer and switch to One Italian Summer. I'm right now on chapter 8. I'm 22% through the book. In this story, our main character, she loses her mom and her mom was really sick, and her mom and her had always had this dream of going to the Amalfi Coast. They had a trip booked, but the mom passes away before it, so she ends up going on the trip herself. It's kind of a little bit like magical realism, I guess. I don't even know if that would be the right way to describe the book. This story so far seems very grief filled and focused, but I am enjoying it so far, so that is good. Yeah, I guess I don't really have any updates besides for that. Now that I have officially said that I'm DNFing One Golden Summer, I can return it to the library because 14 people are waiting behind me. I just got my new glasses, which is so exciting. I finished One Italian Summer today, and I have mixed feelings about this book. Now, I think this book is so beautiful. It is so well written. It is so atmospheric. I've never once been out of the country, but reading this book, I felt like I was on a summer vacation experiencing the Amalfi Coast for the first time. The way that this author writes is so beautiful, and some of the quotes in this book are so beautiful. However, my problems with this book stem from more stylistic choices that the author made when developing the characters, and I wrote it in my journal so I can kind of fully grasp what I'm thinking and explain it to you. I'm gonna be honest, if you've never read One Italian Summer, skip to this part because I don't necessarily know how to talk about this book without directly spoiling this book. So skip this part if you've not read the book because I'm going to directly dive into the plot, the spoilers, everything that I felt about this book because I need to talk about it because this is, I think, the first time ever in my life I absolutely loved a book while absolutely hating this book. So I have 0 rating on this book, but I would recommend you to read it if you're interested in it because it is a good book. Writing wise, the story, it's very interesting. You're following our main character as she is going through the grief process. She just lost her mom and she decides to go on this vacation to the Amalfi Coast because that's where her and her mom were gonna go on a vacation to. And while she is there, you kind of have a little bit of like magical realism, kind of similar to if you've read, what are the 2 books? I'll put them on the screen. That one author where she kind of puts a little bit of magical elements into her story. It's very similar in this book because Katie, our main character, is just on her vacation and then one day she sees her mom, but it's her mom, I think it's like 30 years in the past. Major spoilers starting now. Major spoilers starting now. Skip this if you've not read the book. You find out at the end of the book that Katie is actually taken back into like 1990 or somewhere along there where she's actually back in time. Starting off with like my issues with this story. In the first couple chapters, you learn our main character does not have an identity outside of her relationship with her mom. I think this book, and I don't want to speak like too much on this because I believe that the author was inspired by her own relationship with her mom. So I don't want to like dog on this author if this is where the inspiration for these characters came from. But Katie has such a toxic relationship with her mom where she doesn't have an identity outside of anything that her parents say for her to do or want for her. And I know that it's coming from a place of the author is trying to get across a very strong relationship between these 2 individuals, but it just felt so wrong and toxic. It rubbed me the wrong way the entire time. There's literally a quote within like the first chapter of the book. She's talking about her literal husband and she's like, yeah, I'll never love a husband more than I love my mom. And that's just so weird to even try and compare those 2 types of loves to each other. I don't know. So that was kind of my first issue with this book is it's such a toxic representation of self and just that parental relationship. But then again, this story is a story of grief and about losing a parental figure. So I understand why it was chosen to be written that way, but it's just personally something I do not like. And then this is something that did not need to be in this book, in my opinion, at all. Our main character is married and obviously she loses her mom and I can't even begin to imagine how much something like that would affect a marriage. But she basically decides to go to Italy. She tells her husband, she like won't communicate with him. She keeps pushing him away, and she basically says like, do what you need to do. I'm gonna do what I need to do. Like, we're on a break. You guys are married. You're an adult. Like, I think a lot of my issues with it was our main character felt just so reckless and juvenile. And I understand part of it could be like she just doesn't know. I mean, that is the biggest part of this book, is she doesn't know what to do now that her mom's not there. But that all happens. Katie goes to Italy. Katie cheats on her husband. The entire trip, she is emotionally cheating on her husband. She's gaining an emotional connection with a man who, let alone the man finds out that Katie is married, and he still pursues her. I am in the party. I've been cheated on. It's not fun. And I do think, yes, you need to hold the partner accountable, but also if the other person knows that that person has a significant other, they should also just be decent human being and back up, say no, or whatever. My issue is, in my opinion, there was no reason for it to be a romantic character arc between Katie and Adam. Katie is emotionally cheating the entire book, and then she kisses Adam, and then she has sex with Adam, and then literally like the next chapter, her husband comes to Italy to like make up with her, and she doesn't tell him. I will always hate the cheating trope, but the way that it was done in this book was just so unnecessary. And the mom also was like supporting Katie cheating without like, that was one that I can't support, and reading it made me drop my rating. Honestly, it's a no rating now, but it would have been like a 2-star if I would have rated it. But because it's so well written and I did enjoy the story, I'm like, wow, that would be like a 4 or a 5-star. But I hated certain aspects of this story, so I had to rate it lower. Yeah, the only other thing I wrote in my book journal is, while the writing is beautiful and is a great representation of grief, flawed characters, and the realization that your parents had a life before you, I definitely hate some actions that the characters make. And that is kind of why I'm not rating this book. It's weird because I'm not rating it, but I do think that you should read it if you are interested in the book. It's genuinely an anomaly. I've never read a book like it. So we're doing this whole reading vlog. We're reading only books from the library. And I had actually decided to download another book because none of my other books on my holds list were ready to come in. And so I downloaded the book called The Lake House by Sarah Beth Durst. It is supposed to be a thriller story about like these kids at like a summer camp. Something goes wrong. I don't even know. But my hold for bad publicity came in today. So for the rest of this reading vlog, we're gonna read those 2 books. I think I am gonna start out with The Lake House just because I'm kind of in the mood. I haven't read a thriller or a mystery in a while. I would really like to read something that I feel like I haven't read in a really long time. So this is the next book of this reading vlog that we're gonna dive into together. Right now, I'm actually gonna go walk Miss Stella outside, and then we will probably just read today. I'm so excited. It is many hours later. I hung out at my sister's for most of tonight. I did end up DNFing The Lake House. I'm not even gonna count it. I just like unadded it on Goodreads. I didn't add it as like a read book or anything. I wanna say it was 20% into the book, but by the time I was 12% into the book, I was not enjoying it. The book dives directly into action, and I didn't feel connected to any of the characters, and I also didn't like how the characters acted. I've been like DNFing books left and right, but I just don't want to force myself to read a book that I'm not gonna like in the first place. So instead, I did start Bad Publicity. I'm only on chapter 2. I can't really speak on anything of this book, but from what I understand of the story so far, it is 2 rivals. Our female main character is a publicist for, I want to say he's an author, and he screwed her over in college. So I'm intrigued to learn like what he did. Also, they haven't like interacted. He doesn't know that she is the publicist, but she knows that he is the writer. I'm intrigued to see where we build the story on and anything like that. I don't really have anything that I want to do tonight. I might watch some YouTube videos, but otherwise I'm probably just gonna read until I go to bed. Also, do you like my other glasses? These are my my newer ones. I feel like I look kind of like a grandpa in them, but I really like them. Also, I have Olivia Dean stuck in my head. I love Olivia Dean so much. I wish she was coming to Minnesota on tour. I really badly want to read a physical book, but I feel like if I get caught up on this hold, honestly, I actually just put Dark Matter on hold and there's only one person in front of me before I get that hold. So I also might need to read that right away, but I really want to get back to some of my physical books. I don't know. Anyways. It has been a few days since I've last updated this reading vlog. This morning I went to the gym and I just read on the treadmill and I finally finished Bad Publicity by Bianca Gilliam. Since coming back from the gym, I've been thinking about what I think about this book, what I would rate this book, anything like that. Honestly, it's been so long since I filmed for this video that I don't even know if I gave like a synopsis of this story. Bad Publicity is about our female main character who is I think she's technically like a literary agent. She's the person who will go on tour with the author, and then our male main character is the author himself. In this story, she and him have a history from college and they don't really get along, but they have to be on this press tour together. And here's my kind of issue with the story, whatever. Our female main character, a large part of her character and her character arc, whatever, is that she is a very kind of closed off individual. She doesn't like to talk about issues, to talk about problems. She kind of ignores all of her issues. I understand that as a tool to kind of move the story forward, but it annoyed the fuck out of me. And then also there is an issue that occurred, the big thing that happened between our two characters that happened back in college. It is something that is talked about throughout the story many times, and you don't find out what it was until about 70% through the story. As I was reading it, I was on the treadmill and I was like, what the fuck? Like, we can't come back from this. How is this a romance story? Like, somehow we did come back from it, and I enjoyed the way that the story ended, but at the same time, like, I feel like we didn't actually learn a lot about these characters together and about the male main character. Like, I still feel like I don't really know a lot about him because a lot of this story was focused on being in our female main character's point of view and her ignoring any issues that are coming up and like her just holding grudges, and it annoyed me. I think I'm gonna rate it like a 2-star, maybe like a 2.5. It wasn't my favorite, but it was on my 25 to read in 2025, so like I did want to read it. I didn't love it, so that was kind of unfortunate. But it feels great because I can finally go back to reading like a physical copy of a book. Right now, I don't have any library holds that are in my possession. Let me double check my Libby app because I feel like I'm gonna say that and then one might have come through overnight. I don't have any holds that are right now about to be mine. I'm right now waiting for Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. It's like a sci-fi book that I so badly want to read, and I think that will probably be the next one that I read. But I had so much fun doing this video. I love Libby. I love my library, and especially like being able to save money on books. Like, some of the books in this video I really loved, and if I really loved them, I could go out and buy a physical copy of the book to have on my bookshelf. But at the same time, some of the books in today's video I didn't like, and I enjoy that I don't have to have them on my bookshelf. I hope watching this made you kind of want to start utilizing your library more. I definitely, like, my library is my favorite tool. I use and abuse my library. Me and her are besties. That is all for today's video. If you have watched to this point, thank you. Give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I guess I will see you in my next one. I'm gonna go back to reading Bloodmarked finally. Thank God, it's been like months since I like put this down. Anyways, I'll see you in my next video.